Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Rumors of Heresy. I've got the second game of that Rogue Trader tournament that I went to at Collectormania for you. Today we're facing Chaos Demons, Demonic Incursion. It's a scary army, guys. I've only played them, this will be the third time that I played them, and it's a scary time. Before we start anything though, just a reminder, if you want to support this channel for free, folks, all you gotta do is hit that thumbs up button, like, subscribe, comment. Let's do it, guys. Let's mount that algorithm. Let's get going. Can we get to 1,000 subs? One day we can. I believe in us. Now let's talk about the game. Previously, I faced Tyranids. This is game 2, so Tyranids we faced in game 1, and it's linked in the video description, guys. So if you want to go watch that, please go watch it. And in the video description for that video, it will have a link to this current video, or if you watch the end of that video, it'll also be linked to this one, so you can just click on that link and come back to this video once you are completed. Now, if you want to avoid spoilers, go do that. I'll wait for a couple seconds, and then we're gonna reveal what happened in the last match a little bit and move forward. Let's go. So, vital info. Looks like my face is, hold on, guys. There we go. There. Alright, so we beat the Tyranids player, and we're on to this match. We're in a Rogue Trader tournament, and it's at a place called Collectormania. So, this is what we talked about in the last video as well. We're not going to go over a ton. This is the Firestorm list that I brought to a grand tournament last month. I went 4-2. I did pretty well, but there were some issues. I couldn't score in secondaries, so here's my new list, the list that you guys will see. Now, that is also found in the video description in its entirety. You can see all of the, what kind of composition do my scouts have, for instance? Do they have bolters or shotguns or whatever? You can find all the nitty-gritty stuff, but the idea here is, guys, lots and lots of flamers, lots and lots of just smaller squads, I guess, just trying to mess with objectives, and Vulkan helps you burninate things pretty well. Now keep in mind, this isn't the list that I think is like the most competitive ever for Marines. I've been working on a Gladius list that I want to start doing, but I can't play it yet. This is all in practice for the team tournament that's coming up in a couple weeks. We'll talk more about that at the end, also linked in the timestamps below. So, anyways, this is the new list. My opponent's list here is, so they're playing Demons, Chaos, Demons, Demonic Incursion. This is the first time I'm facing Shalaxi. She is like 400 something points. She is crazy. Be'lakor is really big and crazy. The Great Unclean One with 4-up, Feel No Pain. Gosh, she's so ridiculously tough to kill. Another Keeper of Secrets. So tons and tons of huge, really, really strong demons, and then a ton of little guys that are really fast and really frustrating. You guys will see what the deal is here in just a minute. So we're playing on table quarters, and I'm just going to tell you right now that I kind of underestimated how fast they are. It's just a crazy thing how fast they are. So table quarters, you can start really close to your opponents, in fact, and the Seekers do have a 9-inch scout move, and I think maybe some of these placements are going to reflect that, so it's taken hold. So this is just very standard. We both try to get as many objectives as we can, and this one also did have double objectives in the middle. I forget what it's called, something like supply drop, something like that. So the total of 6 objectives. You can score a total of 15, 5 for each one that you control. So even if you controlled all 6 somehow, you'd only score 15 total. Now I've marked where the Vulkan objective is, that's the objective that gives him 10 OC, and then the Combi Lieutenant reroll one is also there. And I just put it on the same one. I thought that was the one that was most likely to be kind of our battlefield, because demons tend to be pretty aggressive. And so he placed his stuff. You can see he's got that big squad of Nurglings. that I think those things can infiltrate. I don't totally remember. I think that's what happens with them though. And then the Seekers have some good scout moves, and so they're all just, I think this is the final location after they've scouted, in fact. He kept Shalaxi and 6 Blood Crushers in. And remember, guys, he can deep strike his guys as long as they're in his table quarter, like in his starting deployment zone. He can deploy them within 6 inches of my models. So it gets pretty crazy. It gets really scary, in fact. So those Blood Crushers and Shalaxi are much closer and much more threatening than you might think. The Mask of Slaanesh is kind of off the board, and she's just hanging out. She's gonna go try to eat some scouts, I believe. And anyways, that's not the most awesome shot of his deployment, because all the big guys are hidden behind that enormous ruin there. But they are there, and they're just like on the line, ready. So we've got the Van Vets, we've got the Infernus. I did screen my guys a little bit. I figured if he wanted to charge my Van Vets right away, I mean, I didn't want that to happen, but if he did, he'd be in position. I'd be in position to just do a lot of really crazy stuff. Knowing how fast he was, I think I would have put the Van Vets back a little bit at least, because some of those big guys are extremely fast. So you can see we're just kind of wagoned up, kind of, we've circled the wagons, whatever you want to call it. Like, we're just trying to get into position so that we can threaten other objectives. We have the Combi Lieutenant up top to kind of just keep him honest on the top. We have the scouts on the bottom right, and then I do have the jump intercessors being able to like kind of threaten the side where the scouts are. I have the Van Vets ready to threaten the objective up top. So we have our skirmishing units, but then we have units that are kind of there to immediately support them if necessary. And otherwise, I mean, Demons are very aggressive. I figured he was going to try to pen me in, and you guys will see it's pretty crazy. So anyways, we rolled off. He got first turn, which I didn't know what to make of that. I suppose that was fine. I deployed in a way that would hopefully be defensible against that. And he got no prisoners, which meant he was going to try to kill me, and engage on all fronts, which is something that Demons get really, really easily. So let's see his first turn. It's something. So in his scout moves, his Seekers had gotten a little too close to the Infernus, and I had told him a few times that I had a lot of Flamers, that those guys were in fact Flamers, and he still moved them there. So the very first move that he had, my Infernus were able to overwatch and kill a couple Seekers. It was actually, he rolled really well to keep as many as that alive. They really do just kind of melt to Infernus. So my very first, I just got rid of my CP right away, but it's kind of worth it. And so we kind of just circled me with the Seekers and the Nurglings. You can see Bellacor's right there, right behind the Keeper of Secrets. The Keeper of Secrets charged my Infernus that had just killed a couple Seekers, and the Keeper just killed all of them before they could even move at all. So that was kind of sad. I had screened them the right way. I was fine with losing those Infernus, but it's always sad to lose that unit. And then the poor scout, I mean, I used my reactive move. I used my scout move to try to get away from those Seekers, and they still easily got to him, charged him, and then I got a little lucky there, rolling enough saves. He only took 2 wounds after 5 Seekers charged him. I feel like he should have taken more, but after a couple good feel no pain rolls and armor save rolls, he was still alive and kicking on 2. They did completely surround him, though. I think that he did like 1 wound back to him. And with that, I mean, he was completely circling me up. You guys will see a picture in just a minute, but he got 2 for no prisoners because he killed those Infernus Marines. He almost got another 2 for killing the Combi Lieutenant. And then he got 4 out of 4 engage on all fronts on turn 1. What a crazy army, man. They're just so aggressive. So he's already scoring a lot. He's in my face. We gotta have a plan, folks. We gotta have a plan. So I rolled no prisoners, and I rolled recover assets. Recover assets is very challenging to get for my army, especially, but especially in turn 1. So let's. I mean, no prisoners though. That's what I have to do anyways, right? We have to take them out. Gosh, I really had no idea that it would be necessary to screen this well. I did an okay job, and the veterans, I was glad they didn't get charged. He had charged the Infernus instead. Pretty crazy, though. I just really underestimated how fast that army can be. That just absolutely insane. And so we have to kill the Seekers this turn. We got to do it. Otherwise, they're going to harass me, they're going to move block, and he's going to control all the objectives and stop me from being able to score. So we got to take those out. I was glad that I had killed a couple of them with that Overwatch, but it's not enough. They're pretty frail, though. We have the right tools to deal with them. And then we have to take out those Nurglings as well, because the Nurglings are going to make it so that I can't wound at all. That they're really impactful. Nurglings being close to me are going to decrease my ability to hit and wound, I believe, and they're somewhat easy to kill as well, and they're exposed. So we gotta kill the chaff, guys. We've got to kill all of those weird characters and models that are kind of surrounding the big guys. The big guys are scary, and they're the ones who will actually do the killing on their team, but these other guys are going to support it to the point that they're going to kind of just strangle me, constrict me to the point that I just can't do anything. My army won't be effective. And the good news is we do have jump marines, so we can kind of just ignore some of their movement restrictions, that we can just jump over them, which is that's nice. At least the Keeper of Secrets is right there. The question is, how greedy do we want to get? Do we want to also try for Be'lakor? Do we want to just focus everything on the Keeper of Secrets? I mean, Be'lakor is right there. He's probably going to just, if I try to charge the Keeper of Secrets, Be'lakor's right there. He can heroic intervene, no problem. So probably want to do something about Be'lakor, right? And just so that everyone understands, this is our go turn. If I don't kill a lot of demons this turn and really deal some damage, I will get tabled. It's just like turn one, suddenly it's go time. Just out of nowhere, all these demons in my face. Let's go. The Van Vets jumped up to be able to support that top section. Now there's 6 Nurglings that you can't see that are being blocked by that ruin. So we need to take those out. They have, 4 wounds each, something like that. But they're only toughness 3 or 2. I don't remember. They're pretty flimsy, but there's a lot of wounds on them if we got to deal with them. The Seekers are also right there, and they're surrounding that Combi Lieutenant. So we can flame one of them, we can charge the other, and just hopefully those Van Vets will be able to take out 2 targets in one turn. Now, the Combi Lieutenant was completely surrounded, and I wanted to be able to use him later, so I did try a desperate escape test on him, and he survived, so that was good. Congratulations to that dude. And so the Van Vets used their hand flamers. They killed all of the Seekers up there, which was great. I mean, they don't have a lot of wounds, and the Van Vets, I didn't do immolation protocols or anything. It's just a lot of strength 4 flamers hitting tough 4 people with just really flimsy, like 5-up invuln or something like that. So, lots and lots of hits. Took them out. And so on the bottom, we're just going to do it in segments here, folks, because it's just too much to take in all at once and explain what's going on. So the Executioner was stuck. There was just the way everything had been positioned. You can see he only has 3 Seekers left in this squad after we had burninated them, but he placed them in such a way that my entire Executioner was just hemmed in entirely, and he wouldn't be able to get line of sight to anything big, which was a good move on my opponent's part, of course. So he just sat there and killed the 3 Seekers. Not a task that was difficult for a tank of that magnitude, but it needed to happen from somewhere, and so it was fine. He also got out his Infernus Marines there, you can see, and they set the squad of 3 Nurglings on fire. So we took out those Nurglings, took out the Seekers on the bottom part. So those are important components to the ring of madness, the circling of the wagons. We freed up that flank a little bit. Now, between the Redeemer and Vulkan squad, they were able to shoot and kill the entire 6-man Nurgling squad. So the Van Vets weren't actually necessary. You can see where the X's are. That just denotes where the Nurglings died, approximately. So got rid of the Nurglings entirely, all 9 of them. Got rid of all of the Seekers here. And the question was, could we also kill a Keeper of Secrets and or Be'lakor? So the Bladeguard, I did have a few shots into the Keeper. Took out probably half of the Keeper's wounds with them. And I realized, guys, that this photo, I think I took this photo right before I was about to charge, just to show, like, well, if we don't kill these guys, or right before I was about to shoot, I was like, if I don't kill a lot of these guys beforehand, then we're going to be screwed. So the Eradigators from the Land Raider are out, and they shot. The Bladeguard are out, and they're getting ready to charge. The Jump Pack Intercessors are positioned to be able to charge Be'lakor, which I wasn't sure about because the Great Unclean One might be able to charge in as well. But I expected the Be'lakor would be able to heroic intervene, and I wanted to charge. So I wanted to charge Shalaxi first. I think what I should have done in hindsight, I should have used the Jump Pack Intercessors to charge both, so that the Jump Pack Intercessors could position themselves in a way that the Great Unclean One couldn't actually charge in. Like, I could have positioned him in a way that he couldn't have heroic intervened, but then also would have kept Be'lakor where he was, and the Keeper of Secrets where she was. Instead, I had the Bladeguard charge first, and I expected Be'lakor to heroic intervene. And so he did, though. He heroic intervened and landed right where my awesome Photoshop of him landed. He got a 12. He rolled a 12, so because he's flying, he can fly over models, and because the squad that he charged in his heroic intervention was still in that area, like it was exactly 12 inches away. I was like, gosh, it was so close, but he did get it. It repositioned where Be'lakor was, and it made it so that the Jump Pack Intercessors could not charge Be'lakor. It was a really nice little move on his part, honestly, getting Be'lakor over there. And I'm sorry, I don't have all the pay. Like, the middle of this match was just very, very intense. And yes, turn 1 is suddenly the middle of the match. I mean, he's got a Greater Demon in the middle of my deployment zone already. So the Jump Pack Intercessors charged the Keeper because they couldn't target Be'lakor. And I was going to have Vulkan's team charge, but I just forgot. And it was too late to go back and do it once I remembered. I was like, oh, yeah, it felt bad. It really did. So anyways, I got okay rolls, but he did roll really well and kept the Keeper alive on 3 wounds. I was shocked, man. She was just still alive. I couldn't believe after all the shooting I did, all the charging, all the Bladeguard, everything. And then Be'lakor, I did tank shock Be'lakor, and I did 4 wounds to him as well. I wasn't sure what Be'lakor would do to my tank, but decided if I could do some extra wounds there, that would be great. I forgot to throw grenades this whole tournament, which kind of bites me at some point. I won't tell you when. And so the next thing that I had no idea about, that my opponent, he probably told me about it, frankly. I just didn't remember it at all. She regenerates her hit points every time she kills a model, and so even though I'd gotten her down to 3 wounds, she killed 4 Jump Pack Intercessors and therefore healed 4 wounds back, and so she was back at 7. Ah, man, what a kick in the nuts, man. I thought she was gonna be dead. Instead, she's got like half of her hit points left. That's not a great turn, honestly, folks. I did score 5 points for no prisoners because I got all those squads. I would have gotten what, credit for 4 total things, and then recover assets. I did just turn that into CP because I don't have much CP. And we go into his turn to get Secure No Man's Land, which is such an easy one. You just have to hold 2 objectives in the middle, and he is easily doing that in the middle. And then Marked for Death, he actually made me choose, and it occurred to me at that point that I didn't have anything that was actually safe against his Marked for Death. Well, a couple squads, but gosh, I didn't have anything that I wanted, that I was confident was going to live through the turn. I did end up choosing some things that were tough for him to be able to manage, but it was a little bit crazy. So primary score, I did keep him from scoring more than 10 because he got his home objective, and then he was able to hold one with the Grand Unclean one, but I did contest the other ones, which was excellent. So, time for some ugly art, because I didn't take a lot of good photos here, folks. So, Shalaxi landed approximately where you guys see her. She's the named, for those of you who don't know, she's the named Keeper of Secrets for the Demon Army. Then he also landed 6 Blood Crushers, and because they were both in his, approximately in his deployment zone, he was really close. He could land within 6 inches, and so he was able to get charges with Shalaxi and the Blood Crushers both. They were both within 6 inches. Pretty scary stuff. And so the jump back Intercessors, who had charged that Keeper of Secrets, which you don't have a picture of, we just have a picture of right before they charged, they got wiped out to a man. It was a sad day for them. Of course, it was kind of nice because the Blood Crushers were what killed them. Well, the Blood Crushers and Shalaxi, which meant those two were both already at max health anyways, and meant the Keeper of Secrets had to hit the Bladeguard to try to heal anything back. So the Bladeguard were mostly untouched because I made some good invuln saves, and they're just a tough unit to kill, honestly. So yeah, the jump back Intercessors were gone. The Bladeguard had a couple die, but I also I say that I killed Be'lakor here, but I didn't kill him until later. He does die eventually, guys. I at least get 1 kill here, alright? So he's not, I thought he died, but he didn't die yet. They did a close to insurmountable number of wounds. So he didn't get marked for death, and after some consideration, he decided to turn that one into CP, and he got secure No Man's Land for 5, so he's up 21-5 on me currently, and it's kind of dire, folks. We got behind enemy lines, which is a terrible one for me right now, and assassination, which, I mean, if everything goes the way I want it to, assassination should at least be obtainable. This is so intense, guys. Oh, we have to kill Shalaxi, which is she's at full health. We have to take out that Keeper of Secrets, who is, I think, whittled down a little bit from that previous fight. We have to kill 6 Blood Crushers, which are all tough, 7, and have 3 wounds each, and what, like 4-up saves or 3-ups? Who knows? And apparently we have to kill Be'lakor as well. He hadn't died, so oh gosh, what a disaster feeling turn for me. They already wiped out those jump back Intercessors. Like, even though we killed all the chaff, these big guys are just about to table us. If we don't kill at least a few of these monsters, we're gonna get tabled, guys. Those Blood Crushers mean business. They evaporate the things they hit. They killed those jump back Intercessors so easily. And Shalaxi was able to finish them off, and Be'lakor and the Keeper of Secrets keeps regenerating, and Keeper of Secrets is tough to kill as well because it's just -1 to hit Keeper of Secrets at all times. I'm going to be tabled on turn 3 if I don't do something dramatic. On my turn 2, I don't ever have a turn 1 or 2 that's this crazy, guys. It really does. Honestly, every time I face demons, it really has felt like a demonic incursion. Like, they just keep appearing around you, and you're just like, what is happening? It's just chaos, and they're charging in and destroying things, and people are screaming in the streets. Things are on fire. It's a good time, folks, for the demons, at least, and probably for the people watching. But, dear Lord, it's been tense. Just instant pressure the entire game. Right, so I did score 15 this turn because the top left objective was held. The scouts held an objective, and I held my home objective, so I held 3 of them. Of course, the middle objectives. One thing I should point out, folks, is that middle objective where I'm re-rolling 1s to wound from the lieutenant, the combi lieutenant objective, that's been working out really nicely because all of his big guys have to get onto that objective to attack me, and I didn't really think it would be as effective, but it's been extremely helpful. So, the Executioner was able to take out Be'lakor first, so thank goodness for that. He didn't explode or anything. That was, whew, okay, so we got him. The Eradicators were able to shoot and kill the Keeper, finish the Keeper off, and because she wasn't able to regenerate any of her hit points because the Blood Crushers and Shalaxi had already killed her fountain of youth in the form of those jump pack intercessors. It kind of hurt them in the long run. The Van Vets were able, and the Bladeguard were able to take out Shalaxi, which she I think she was at full health at that point. But between all of their attacks, I mean, you could do some serious damage with Bladeguard and Van Vets, to be honest, because those Van Vets have lethal hits. You put, and of course she was the one with Oath of Moment on her, so you're able to reroll to hits, and all the lethals that you get stack up, and you know it's just a demon 4-up normal save, and then they have Feel No Pain sometimes. Shalaxi has a 5-up, I think, but if you stack enough of those up, and you add Crucible to be able to have +1 to wound on things, I mean, you can really stack. Firestorm is really great for doing a lot of damage up close. And so I was also able to shoot with, we had the Infernus Marines. They were able to shoot the Blood Crushers. We were able to, so Vulkan marked the Blood Crushers. So one of the things about Vulkan is he can mark one unit, and that unit in the shooting phase, he can mark that unit with that's within view of himself, within 24 inches. And during my shooting phase alone, I get to reroll wounds of Torrent weapons and Melta weapons, and so against that one unit. So Vulkan and the Infernus are both able to shoot at and I used the Land Raider Redeemer, who was just in range of those Blood Crushers. I was able to use all three of those. The rerolls to wound on the Redeemer's Flamestorm cannons is just brutal. They're strength 7 already because Firestorm gives them +1 strength. And so you get a bunch of hits, and you're rolling to wound on Blood Crushers on 4s, but you get to re-roll it. And then Vulkan is also strength 7 flamer, and the Bladeguard were able to do some damage. And we killed all but one of the Blood Crushers after Vulkan charged in and killed a couple more. It was a really crazy turn. You killed, what, 3 demons that are all worth like 300+ points each, and almost all of those Bladeguard. So pretty staggering, just stunning turn. My opponent said he rolled really poorly on saves. Of course, from my perspective, it seemed like he saved more than he should have, and I don't mean to contest him or whatever. It's just an interesting thing to mark as something that happens when, in a dice game, you always perceive your opponent does better than they did, and they always perceive they did worse than they did. And, no one's ever, like, perfectly happy. But the scouts were able, so in the previous turn, like, at some point he had forgotten to charge with the mask on the scouts, and it was like the middle of my turn that he was like, oh, can I charge with the mask? And I was like, I mean, it's the middle of, it's way past when you should have been able to charge. So I rolled on a 4, I was like, okay, on a 4-up you can, and he did not roll the 4-up. So she didn't get the charge. She would have had to roll like a 9 anyways. So I don't know if she would have gotten it, but one way or another, the scouts then trundled up, and they got 2 wounds off of her. They actually rolled fairly poorly for shooting. So she has 2 left, the Ms. Mask there, but a pretty solid turn one way or another. In addition to my 15 primary, I also got Assassination because we killed Be'lakor, we killed Shalaxi, and I think, is that Keeper of Secrets also a character? I actually don't know, but one way or another, I mean, you don't get multiples for Assassination anyways, and so we got 10 total on secondaries. Still a little bit ahead of the Demons at this point, actually, which is surprising. Demons are really good at doing their secondaries, and I've skipped a couple secondaries. So the Demons got Demons don't have a lot of models left. They have the Mask, they have Great Unclean One, and the 10 Plague Bearers, but they're going to keep going because Demons score really well, as you'll see. So Area Denial and Containment, not really a problem, to be honest. So he got 10 for his primary this time as well, because the Great Unclean One is holding an objective, and the Plague Bearers are on one as well. And the Plague Bearers actually, I think, went up at this point in the turn so that they could land on another objective. Anyways, let's focus on the Mask while we're over here. So the Mask was going to try charging the scouts in full view. I mean, she could have done containment, to be honest, but I think my opponent needed to hold this objective if he was going to have any chance. So he charged. I did overwatch because I've got a heavy bolter and a sniper rifle there, so I have a couple shots that could one-shot her. I ended up getting one hit with the heavy bolter, but it's sustained, so I was able to get 2 hits, and I think both of them wounded, because it's a strength 6 bolter, remember, heavy bolter, because it's Flamestorm, so it goes from 5 strength to 6 strength. So you wound the Mask on a 2+ when you get that, and I did manage to take her out. She goes down in death. You guys are pervs, but she is Slanesh, so she might have. So the Blood Crusher also died in melee. Vulkan did the honors, I believe. And so the Great Unclean One was able to get onto both objectives. We had pre-measured it before the game, and I don't know if we did it accurately or not, but Area Denial is one of the secondaries, which means he has to claim the center objective without me being on the center objective. I mean just the middle of the board, center of the board. And if I don't have models within 3 inches or 6 inches of the middle of the board, but he does, he gets either 5 or 2 points. And so the Great Unclean One plopped himself right on that center of the board and tried to flame some of the Van Vets. He killed a couple. I did Armor of Contempt for free with the Captain, and so not many of them died, but he did get onto both objectives to contest both objectives, and I believe, did Vulkan die here? I'm not really sure. Now that I think of it, I think maybe Vulkan did die. When I was making these slides, I didn't say that he did, but I bet he got charged by the Great Unclean One and died, because otherwise I would have held that objective anyways, and I didn't get the points for it, because Vulkan would have held it for 10 OC, which is more than the Great Unclean One has. So anyways, you can't see it here. Well, here you'll see a better picture soon, but the Plague Bearers went up and down. They have uppy downy, and they have a 3-inch deep strike. So they landed on the objective that the Combi Lieutenant was hanging out on, and the Combi Lieutenant, in shock, just tried to run away, which he did. I don't think they ended up killing him, but he retook that objective, and he is sticky on the other one, so he's actually currently holding 4 objectives, even with only 2 units left. It's absurd. It's so impressive, actually. It's such a cool army. So he ended up getting 3 for containment, because he got that with the Plague Bearers as well, and he got Area Denial for 2, because he couldn't kill enough with the Great Unclean One. So he's ahead by 11 right now with only 2 units left. I ended up getting Sabotage, Defend Stronghold, which you can get a solid 6 for that, and so I scored 10 on my secondaries this turn, because I'm holding the Scout objective, and I'm holding my home objective, but the Great Unclean One wiped me off of the 2 middle ones. So the question is, how long can the Great Unclean One stand? And so, I mean, it really just comes down to, can I kill the Great Unclean One? Can I make it so that he's not a huge issue with a 4-up, with a tough 12, 4-up invuln save, 4-up feel no pain? It is so tough to kill that bastard, but I do have a lot of shots into him. Immolation Protocols can work. The shots from the tank can do a lot of damage. I mean, if you can focus your entire army on one huge, ridiculous thing, then usually you can take him out. So I did at the end, I don't even know, I think I needed to charge him to take him out, but it wasn't that close. Like, he was kind of close to dying anyways, even before I charged, so we did take him out, and he just had Plague Bearers at this point, yeah, so there's a better picture. And that's it. So we decided to roll his points, and he actually got a shocking number of points by the end of the game, because he was able to even, we just like said, okay, I'm going to do this without moving the models, and he managed to storm one of my objectives with the Plague Bearers in the 3-inch deep strike. And so he even got Storm Hostile Objective with those guys. It was actually really cool. So at the end of turn 3, he had 36, and at the end of the game, he ended up scoring 72 total points, which is very impressive given how few models he had to work with on turn 4 and 5. I mean, he got kind of lucky on his secondaries, I guess, but on his draws, but it was still like, wow, that was a lot of points at the end with one unit that doesn't actually fight things. I ended up getting max primary, and secondary I did decently on. I mean, the first few turns were just like fighting for survival. You have to survive if you want to win sometimes. Not all the times. You don't get any points for your guys being alive at the end of the game, but at the end, I mean, you need models to score eventually, right? So I don't mind getting a little lower on there, even though I basically tabled him, and I probably could have tabled him if I really wanted to. I just who needs to do that, guys? I mean, let the guy have his points, and it's fun to see what he could do anyways. So gosh, demon matches are so intense, guys. I said that before. It just really feels like demons they're just like all over the place, and you're like, okay, we're doing good, and then more teleport in and start charging and destroying you, and your friend Frank is just dead, and it's chaos. Like, where did my cow go? I'm kidding. Or am I? I actually don't keep track of cows. I don't know where that came from at all, guys. I can't speak to that, but he didn't let me ease into the match, which honestly, that's good in some ways. I think that works against people who... I played enough demons to know that they have some crazy threat ranges, and of course table quarters makes it so that you can get into some weird positions on turn 1. And I didn't expect him to go so just balls to the wall, absolutely just for the throat on turn 1. I didn't think that was going to happen. I thought that he was going to spend a turn staging. For whatever reason, I thought he was going to like pin me in and then just go and consolidate, try to kill my like side objectives, take those, or some. I thought he was going to do something different, and it was the thing is, and I guess the thing I'll say, like, I'm not trying to say anything negative. My opponent was great, by the way. He was really awesome, so nothing negative about him. I will say, I don't think he quite understood how good Firestorm lists are at punching at close range. Like, we're not great at range. Like, I have the one Executioner, I have a couple, I think I have 2 total guns. I have the Executioner, and then I have one other gun in the entire army, which is just the Heavy Bolter from the heroes that shoots at 36-inch range. Everything else is, and we have very few 24-inch range. Everything is like 18 or even like just 12-inch range. That's just how it is with this army. But the thing is, it is the punching up ability at that range is just immense. And so being able, I don't think I was unrealistic in thinking that I could kill all of his Seekers, all of his Plague dudes, whatever they're called, Nurglings, and both of his big monsters. I think that if dice had gone like a little bit in my favor, just like slightly above average, I think all of those guys would have died, and he would have just had... He would have still had Shalaxi, he would have still had the Blood Crushers, he still had the Great Unclean One, but I think I would have killed all of the rest with a little luck. And on average dice, I think I at least usually kill at least one of those big guys. Didn't happen this time. That's fine. But just something to think about, guys. The close range... If you can play Firestorm, that's what you want to do, is get up close if you can. Like, you don't want a close combat. It's not a melee army specifically, but being close is their forte, and that's the way I'll be designing lists in the future, for what it's worth. And I'll be putting out another video kind of soon. I've still got to do video match 3 of this, but I'll be putting out a video on how to play like my updated Firestorm list, all of that stuff. But anyways, I do think that killing all the chaff on my turn was really important. If I hadn't killed all of that chaff, he would have just... You could really restrict what my army can do, and so the Firestorm, it was cool. Like I was really happy that it worked the way it did. Just being able to take out the chaff is more important than I think a lot of people realize. Okay, so good game to my opponent. We got the second win, so we'll talk about that in just a sec. Before that, what's coming next for this channel, for me personally in 40k. Now, I've played a couple games now against Genestealer Cults. I've played a couple games against Hypercrypt Legion, or a couple games against Necrons, I should say. And so I'm getting some good experience against teams that I haven't really had any experience with against before, and that's good because I have a Rogue Trader tournament coming out, this coming Saturday. So I don't know if I'll be able to put out the next video, the final Necron video. Oh, spoiler alert! But the finals, before that tournament it takes place, but you can follow me on that in that tournament. You can go to the link for that event and watch as I win or lose in Laramie, Wyoming. It's a place. It's a magical, faraway place, folks. Wyoming, man. It's not a myth. I grew up there, in fact. And then we have a team tournament the very next weekend, which I'll be covering a pretty decent amount of, I think. It's going to be really interesting. And then we'll take a quick break for Christmas. I'll still be making videos, but then we have the next Open GT in January, where I think I'm going to be playing the Gladius list I've been developing. Though it's possible if Games Workshop updates that Space Marine, like they said that they're going to update something on the Space Marine. To make Space Marines like more fun to play. I'm guessing it's some kind of boost to give for Salamander. I mean, if they make Salamanders way better, or even just a little better, I might just swerve and use the Firestorm list at the GT. So no promises on the Gladius. My guess is that most of the people watching would want me to play the Firestorm anyways, so we'll see. So next up, guys, we're facing Obeisance Phalanx. This is against a guy who took, I think 4th place at Rocky Mountain Open, which is a 200+ person event. He ended up, he was using Necrons, he's using Obeisance Phalanx this time, but, whew, man, this is a crazy game, guys. It is. I will tell you, no spoilers, other than super close match, super close game, really just what a crazy game. So, anyways, stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for more stuff on my other tournaments. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button if you haven't already. Thank you all once again so much for watching. And remember that if you didn't hear it from me, it's probably heresy. Take care, folks.